If nothing else, you have to commend It's What's Inside for the sheer amount of style on display, especially with it being writer, director, and editor Greg Jarden's feature debut behind the camera. It's just a shame it got relegated to a Netflix release instead of being on the biggest screen possible, because this would have been a blast to see with a crowd. If you haven't seen it yet and don't know much about it already, I'd say go in knowing as little as possible, and just make sure you get yourself familiar with all the character names right out of the gate, because once this party they all gather for kicks off, it becomes a wild ride pretty quickly. One that's presented through some slick visual cues filled with colorful imagery and some rapid-fire cuts and edits that give it the feel of a really high-energy Black Mirror episode. And one that's definitely funnier than Black Mirror. The character work is ultimately a little thin, with most of them not having much beyond one distinct personality trait, but they'll play into each of those traits in an almost exaggerated way that it brings out a lot of the humor, especially when they eventually get into heated disagreements with one another. The only other thing that might lose some people is that as things unfold, this tends to get pretty convoluted, and it's mostly intentional, especially as it's played for some dark laughs at some points, but it is also to the point where sometimes you feel like you need a cheat sheet to keep up with where things go. Now, I mean, it didn't completely lose me, but I do think it can be one of those things where if you're not paying attention for a minute, it can be a bit to catch back up. But still, even with some narrative shortcomings, it's a really fun B-movie with a great sense of style, and it makes me excited to see what Greg Jarden has next up his sleeve.